Hey everyone, this is a clip from the regular exclusive podcast. If you like what you hear, then subscribe for more and find our podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
My other favorite shark movie is Deep Blue Sea.
Wait. Hold on. This is your favorite movie?
No. Jaws is my favorite movie, but I said this might be, besides The Reef, this might be, I think it's number 3, like close to my favorite shark movie.
You're telling me this movie is in the top 3?
For shark movies, I think for sure it's a classic.
Okay.
And it really holds up pretty well. And I just feel like it's a great movie. It's fun. It's got a great amount of action and horror and sharks.
All right, make your case.
Just fucking did. Plus Thomas Jane and LL Cool J. I'm obsessed with him in this movie. And the song that he sings afterwards, my head is like a shark fin. I don't know what it means, but I love it. And also Sam Jackson with one of the best surprise deaths of all time. And Thomas Jane. Again, I feel like I've made my case 5 times over. Plus the bitch who's the main character dies at the end, thank God. And LL Cool J lives, and that's all I needed to know. That's
are you sure that's
good.
The case you want to make?
I mean,
are you sure you want to
hand
the floor over to me?
I'm just saying that, like, I feel like that this movie has some fun kills. It's like the other shark movie that I have watched the most besides Jaws, because I just think it's really fun. It's like, obviously it's so ridiculous at times, and there's some really bad effects with like special effects, but I think overall, like, it's a pretty great and fun movie. Like, I love it. It's one of my favorites. Are you telling me you did not like this movie?
Do you yield the floor?
I feel like I'm scared to, but yeah.
You should be.
I feel like you're gonna shit all over Deep Blue Sea, and now I'm worried about it.
Really, rewatching this was one of the worst movies I have ever seen.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
This movie wasn't fun.
This was terrible. Me and Sarah were.
Oh, she watched it too.
She came in halfway through and didn't miss a beat. There's zero plot. We were.
The plot is basic, very basic.
We were
That's
bad
all you
watching
need, though.
This movie the whole time. I started this game. There's just one rule. It's whenever a character does something that doesn't make sense, you say, "What are you doing?" We said it every 10 seconds. Literally, like the entire movie. We're just like, what is going on? Like,
they all take way too long when the like glass is breaking. I always notice that. I'm like, they're all sitting there going, what's happening? Like, they don't react well. I'll give you that.
So I took a couple notes and then I just stopped because it was overwhelming. Okay. The first
are you telling me you didn't have fun watching this movie?
Oh, we had a good time. But like, I will not rewatch this movie ever again based off this. Like, the first thing I'm like, what are you doing? Is the guy bites Daddy Skarsgard's arm off.
Skarsgard. I like Daddy Skarsgard.
I like Daddy Skarsgard. There's so many of them now. At this point, he was the Skarsgard in 1999.
Yep.
But in this case, I'm going to call him Daddy Skarsgard. The shark bites his arm off.
While he's like smoking a fucking cigarette too. So the shark maybe just wanted to smoke, but he just didn't know how to ask. That's
the moral of the story.
They're smart.
You genetically enhance sharks' brains to cure Alzheimer's, and they want to smoke. So
obviously.
Maybe they're not that smart.
I mean, I feel like it was a very realistic plot.
Okay.
I'm kidding, obviously. But yes, his death scene was number 1 on my list that I want to discuss.
The death scene was good. It was
unnecessarily long and really like he died 3 times over. I thought.
I mean, oh yeah.
It was like he's dead like the first time with the arm, and then he gets put on the helicopter, dropped into the water with the sharks. He's a goner. Then he's still alive, being pushed by the sharks through the glass.
That's the other part of this movie. I'm like, no one's good at their job. Like
nobody. Yeah.
He gets his arm bit off. He gets put on
shark. How you doing?
A helicopter. The helicopter people, the emergency helicopter people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
The jack they're pulling him up on fails, and they're like, let's just dip him in the water. And then the shark grabs it, and you're like, you know what, let's just crash the helicopter into the watchtower.
Everything.
Because if you watch the scene, I literally rewatched.
I've rewatched it multiple times.
I literally rewatched that scene before we started recording, because I was like, how did the entire top part of the ocean catch on fire?
Right.
Allegedly, the shark dragged the helicopter into the watchtower. But based off the structure, the shark couldn't drag them because there's nowhere to drag it to past the watchtower. So literally the helicopter just like tilted and rolled into the watchtower, and then everything was on fire. But
see, that's if you just can't focus on the little things in this movie. This is a movie where you just like, that's the most hilarious death scene I've ever seen. I love that these sharks are like super fucking smart, and it's like, oh, they're not even trying to eat us the whole time. They're just trying to get us to let them out. And it's like, but also they're kind of trying to eat you, right? They're still fucking sharks.
In this decade, that's intentional.
Oh yeah.
In 1999, that's lazy as fuck. So like that whole scene is ridiculous. But so then they take him up, but Thomas Jane's response to Daddy Skarsgard's arm getting bit off is he goes into the closet and grabs a shotgun, and he's going to shoot the shark in the head.
Yeah, smart.
The shark that they just had a medical breakthrough
of course they're not gonna. He's like, this thing's fucking evil.
Okay, I know.
That's his whole through line the whole movie. He's trying to tell the main woman, hey, these sharks, I'm working with them every day. They're acting pretty fucking smart and crazy.
They don't know the reveal yet at this point. Okay. As he grabs the shotgun. No, he doesn't.
Well, he doesn't know that, but he knows that they're like smarter than normal sharks.
Yeah, because he's a weird action hero character that has no story.
A prison past, and like he's Tom Jane. I just like to think of it as like an extension of the Punisher. He's like the Punisher in one of his like alternate lives or something. And he works with sharks really well.
It's the prequel, and he can dodge shark bites
and hold his breath for like 10 minutes.
Which we learn in like the first 5 minutes. He dodges a shark, and I'm like, what? And then he does it again.
That. Oh, I thought that was cool.
He does it again at the end. I'm like, okay. But anyway, he's going to shoot the shark in the head. And then the girl who has never done a movie since this movie.
Yeah.
She slaps the biggest red button to drop the shark in the tank. And it's like, okay, so no one knew that this button was here. Thomas Jane's reaction is, I'm going to shoot this shark in the head.
He's just like had it with these fucking sharks. The first one gets out and it's like taking down a whole boat by himself, just testing his limits. And he's like, all right, these sharks gotta go. He's smart. He's like the smart guy who's like, let's kill all the sharks. Then they'll never attack us. They'll never do anything. Like I feel like he's onto this whole thing where he knows he's the only guy that I like in the movie. He's great. I feel like
Renee, you know,
Sam Jackson and LL Cool J.
The only reason that he is the smart guy in the movie is because the movie is fucking dumb.
Well, I love Sam Jackson's character, and they do reverse the trope. Whenever it's like in a horror movie or anything like a disaster movie, that there's any time for anyone to give an inspiring speech is ridiculous. That like, oh, whatever's happening, the sharks aren't going to attack us during this little 5-minute, like, and it's such a cheesy speech that you just assume it's like one of those things. And then when he gets eaten, you're like, oh shit, like, weren't you surprised?
So here's the thing. I watched this and then I watched Jaws.
Oh, that's not fair.
No. Listen, hear me out. I thought this was bad when I watched it. I watched Jaws and then I hated this movie.
But see, they can both exist and be okay.
They can, yeah, sure. And Democrats and Republicans can both exist. Doesn't mean that there's no bad guys, okay?
That's true. All right. Well, now I can't say, but I will say, like, I love LL Cool J in this movie. Can I get a hell yeah for him? At least he's a great character. I love his whole thing. He's the best character in the movie. Wouldn't you agree?
My last bullet point on the "what are you doing" subplot was LL Cool J parentheses everything. The entire movie.
The best. He's so cool. He's so lovable. I didn't want him to die. He does the Die Hard thing in the oven with the shark and like blows it up. Like, I love that. And the parrot thing was hilarious. It's like badass. I was like, oh my God, I love this.
There's a part where there was like a borderline, like an intimate scene between him and the parrot. I'm like,
when he was feeding it whipped cream? I don't think.
Yeah, I'm like,
you were inferring something because I didn't.
No. There was fuck jams playing in the background.
Gross.
That's
just what he was listening. I think he was listening to his own music in the background, though. I swear, I thought it was like an LL Cool J song in the background. The funny thing I was going to mention about this is that Sam Jackson was originally offered the LL Cool J part, but his like people or his agent got back and said they don't like the idea of him playing a chef, which I was like. So then they created a new character of the CEO guy and wrote it for him, and then made the surprise death where he gets killed partway through. And Sam Jackson like loved it. and was like, hell yeah,
I believe
in.
it. He only had to be in half the movie. Last thing I have to say on LL Cool J, the cross that he wears is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
I know.
Like,
It's
you know
so
me,
obvious.
I grew up in a religious household, maybe not necessarily Catholic. That thing is enormous.
Yeah,
like,
it really is.
Even for LL Cool J, a rapper, like that is the biggest.
They wear big jewelry, but that's still too big.
Yeah, that's too big. I'm like,
Yeah.
This is unreasonable. But Samuel Jackson, I think, was my favorite part of this movie.
He's amazing in everything he does, even if he doesn't care.
This is like pre Samuel Jackson, like before he was like
No, this is after Pulp Fiction.
It is.
Yeah, 94 was Pulp Fiction. So
okay, well
that
kind of changes what I think of this. This is on the fly as I'm thinking of this. The first half of this movie, I'm like, Samuel Jackson is trying to not be Samuel Jackson. He is trying to just be the most straight-laced person. Like, whenever he's like someone talking about stock prices, I'm like, you want to say fuck. Like, you want to say motherfucker. And he doesn't.
I do. That's the one thing, is that I wish he had like snakes on a plane energy in this movie, because I feel like he would have more fun with it. But that's what makes it more surprising. I guess I would have been equally shocked if he just all of a sudden died in Snakes on a Plane when he's like the star. But I feel like I was very shocked when I first watched this movie, and that was like a big thing too, that everyone really liked it.
The other part of why Samuel Jackson is maybe the saving grace of this movie is because halfway through, when all the weird shark stuff happens, Samuel Jackson turns into Samuel Jackson. Like, it's a very obvious switch in character. He just starts doing Samuel Jackson thing, and then he has the monologue, and then he dies while he's giving the monologue.
So good.
But it's great
scene. You tell me that's a great scene.
No, it's a great scene.
Yeah.
But the one thing about this movie that like I'm upset about is this had two of the like all-time Hollywood cursors. You had Samuel Jackson and Michael Rappaport.
Who?
He's the
other guy.
He's the guy he's the guy with the terrible goatee.
Yeah. I know him from Friends. What is he also on?
Renee, just look up his Instagram.
Why?
Because he commentates on stuff. He just swears. Him and Samuel Jackson calling each other motherfuckers is a dream. And it was wasted on this movie. And
this is like the same time that he was like on Friends. He like dated Phoebe for a while. That's the only thing I know him from. And I thought he was pretty funny, but like this movie, I just like, I mean, he's just like a nothing character. Like, and plus when he gets eaten, you're just like, I love how they have like him get cut in half and then the leg is like twitching. And I'm like, it still looks so fake, but they really like focused in on that leg twitching. Like, hey, it's real.
Like that's not how it works. We're not chickens.
Sharks, like, when they do come out of the water and they're using the practical effects, don't you think they look pretty good?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna send you. Go watch the Requiem and tell me.
No. This is not a comparison.
And most of the other ones.
This is a comparison of Deep Blue Sea and Jaws. Jaws had very little.
They're not comparing. I thought we were just talking.
The scene where Daddy Skarsgard gets his arm bit off, I'm like, that is very obviously a prop because there's no body. It's just the head swiveling. Like,
it's so good. I just personally, I think it's a fun movie. I literally have the lowest bar for a lot of horror movies. I think wait till we get to the Jaws ripoffs next, where it's like basically Jaws, but insert animal here. It's a different one each time. And we're going to have some real fun with it, because I feel like we're just getting started on this category. Like, sharks are only one part of it, but some of these, they're actually pretty damn good. Some of them pretty bad.
In the end, I'm very thankful of Deep Blue Sea. Not because I'm going to watch it again, but it's purely because of the Dave Chappelle, Samuel Jackson beer sketch.
Deep Blue Sea, they ate me. A fucking shark ate me. Frank, bitch.
That little segment
God.
alone is worth the entire movie.
That is amazing. I love that. It is worth it because now you know the joke. That's like a big deal, right?
Here's the biggest reason why I just don't like the movie. And this is purely a hindsight kind of thing. As I watched this movie, it was just very apparent that this movie was just ripping off other movies. This movie very clearly rips off Jaws, The Poseidon Adventure.
Totally.
Thomas Jane is just playing a mixture of every 70s and 80s action hero that doesn't have a backstory but can do really cool things.
Totally.
But yeah, like Deep Blue Sea, I'm just like, literally nothing about this movie is original or even thoughtful. And
it's fun. I think it's fun for what, I mean, it's not like I'm comparing it to anything. I mean, except for the rest of these movies, and they're all pretty questionable in their own ways. I just let it slide. As long as there's cool shark action. Again, this comes back to for the new Leatherface or Texas Chainsaw movie. I'm like, is Leatherface in it? And is he cutting people up in some fun ways? That's really all I need. I'm very simple when it comes to horror movies. Jason, I need him with the machete and the mask and just killing people. I don't care. I just want him to go nuts. It's like he's the hero, right? For Jaws or any shark movie, I want some good shark kills. I'm not watching it to watch a couple fight and see nothing that happens under the water. Jaws at least gives us, I think, the perfect amount of shark for like withholding it, because it still works really well. But I'm just saying, that's all I need. And that movie, I will say, Deep Blue Sea, good shark kills.
Everything you just said reminds me of a segment in New Girl where Schmidt, he has a whole episode where he talks about his experience watching Raiders of the Lost Ark. And he is watching the Nazis' perspective. He's like, yeah, and then he opens the Ark and it kills the president. And then Nick is like, you watched a different movie than everyone else. Like,
weird.
You just called the shark the hero. Like,
I'm not saying that he's the hero, but he's like the star. Like, he's like the Tom Cruise, like in the trailer. I'm looking for like the shark. Like, that's what I want to see. That's why I liked like the Meg in the trailers. They showed some really cool scenes with like the shark and like just the silhouette, or like looking at it and you're like, all right, I'm into it. It's like, that's what I'm here for. That's the star of the show. And as long as I get some good shark action, like, that's why I bought shark bait, because I was like, it's like $5 to buy, $3 to rent. I'm buying this shit. And it had good shark kills. Terrible everything else, but I'll forgive it because good shark kills.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, we'll continue with the rest of our.
We have so much more
sharks.
We have so much more to talk about, apparently. So,
apparently. Believe me, we're just getting started.